Supermoon Tarot, and in today's video we are going to be answering what to look for in the next 72 hours. Now if you noticed, I worded this in a unique way. I'm looking specifically for repeating patterns or cycles that might pop up, signs from the universe, synchronicities, not only because this is a really fun, positive, optimistic way to look forward to things rather than the fear of what you could encounter, but also when we look towards something, it's not about saying what's going to happen and then put up a wall or open up. You're implying subconsciously you're not available for the benefits of whatever can be brought to you in anything. You're also allowing things to only come to you in a physical sense. When you can receive knowledge, you can receive love. Love is an abstract, non-physical thing. We're really trying to keep it very broad and open. And we can learn these things through the subtext of understanding repeating cycles, synchronicities, signs from the universe. Because this is how we let the world know this is what I'm going through, this is how I'm feeling, and then this is when we get those repeating confirmations back. Yep, universe gives you confirmation back. Yep, you're on the right track, gives you confirmation back. Hey, things aren't not necessarily going your way, but here's why, and this is the blockage, and this is how we can open it. Basically, this question is very simplistic, but it's asking a lot of things. So we're going to keep this upbeat, fun. It will help you understand the language of the universe and seeing the metaphors and everything. And it's just going to be a good time. But it's about realizing it's not just things like getting a promotion and someone asking you out. I'm not saying that's not going to be in the cards for you. It's about understanding, well, why are they asking you out? Who's asking you out? Do you repeatedly get asked out in this kind of way? Is this different, and does that show you a breakthrough that you made, so that's why you're getting asked out in a different kind of way? Are you receiving a promotion not here but over there, so you're meant to give your attention over here? Do you see what I'm saying here? So we're looking for all of that. As you can see, we have 4 groups in front of us. Group number 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to give you a moment to pick the group that you resonate with most. Now that you have, you can go down to the description for your designated group and mark timestamp. But let's get started with group number 1. Group number 1. Let's find out what are you looking for in the next 72 hours by looking at the cards. Now, what I love about this is my spirit guide, who I work with most often when I do tarot. They told me to pull 6 cards. And the reason why I love this is because 6 is a high vibrational number. And I don't mean 6 along with other numbers. I mean 6 in itself speaks about high vibrational thinking, high vibrational situations. And what I love about this implies the next 72 hours are going to be a wonderful growing time period for you. One where you are able to go to the next level, understand in a way you couldn't before. And I find when we approach situations from a high vibrational process or way of viewing it, it makes the whole situation so much easier to accept. It's more fun, it basically clears out everything and creates more good stuff. So I'm just putting out there that I'm very pumped about that. Now, that being said, give me 1 second to look at everything. I'm already seeing a cycle here. Ooh, I'm seeing synchronicities here. Give me a second to look at everything. Okay, so make sure you sit around and you listen to the whole thing, because everything kind of runs into the next, and you will hear some stuff that might initially not be the funnest to hear, but as is with most of my readings, what I usually aim for, we can change some things by being self-aware about it. Now, fun fact, if you are more aware of whatever lesson you need to learn in the situation and you just like to yourself are like, oh, I need to know this, the sooner the situation either ends or you don't even have to deal with it in the first place. And we love that. So first, let's start over here. The Six of Wands in reverse, six, very fun, is talking about there not being, things not working out over the next 72 hours. Not every moment, but you went to try to go get a cup of coffee and then you spilled it. Or the line was too long and it didn't work out. You tried to put together something for work and maybe your computer started to slow down. Things are just kind of off and it just doesn't seem to be working over this time period. This is due to what's going on over here in the Hierophant in reverse. This is either you in some positions, because I'm checking with my spirit guide right now, sometimes it will be you were forced to approach a circumstance in an unconventional way. So if the traditional way you got coffee, you would drive to work and go to the drive-thru, maybe this time you felt really pulled to like hop on your bike and you wanted to bike there. You know what I mean? Or, no, that's a good example. I don't want to be too rambly here. But the point is, or you are forced to, or you feel like you're drawn to and you want to. And it's not the unconventional way you approach it that the situation isn't working out. It's the subconscious belief that if you don't do what everyone else does, or do what you normally do, like follow your routine, that somehow it's not going to work out. Like there's a deep belief in you that you have to do it this one way. And because there's that resistance going on, again, on a deep subconscious level, that's the only reason why things don't work out. So what I'm trying to say here is it's a cycle. When we have a cycle going on, that means it's been going on for a while. It seems that you're trying to break free of it. You're aware that you should try to be more open. You should try to do something different. Because here's the thing with the Hierophant in reverse and the Six of Wands being paired together. I could not see a more clear combination of cards. It appears you are meant to bring about a positive change in your own world, but by byproduct, other people's, by showing people you can do things a different way. You're a sort of an innovator, a great thinker, and you're aware what has been maybe just kind of skating you by in the past, or you don't have the most consistent results, is because you're not living in your truth, which is meant to be like, everyone else applies for this job. I'm going out of my way to send a cute little card saying thank you for the interview. I'm going to do something a little bit different. You see what I'm saying here? Everybody else goes on maybe an app to date. I'm going to just kind of casually walk up to someone cute in the coffee store and just let them know, hey, I think you're cute. I'm going to impromptu ask you out. I'm going to do things a little bit differently than I normally would, or I normally see everyone else do it. And when you don't believe in it, that's the only reason why it's not working out. So if you change over the next 72 hours, just trying like on a deep level being like, I'm willing to consider, again, change can be small in the beginning. It doesn't have to be a full 180. It's, we would like to all 180 in one night, but if you can't, that's okay. But when you go to feel inclined to do something different or you're forced to, you're being given an opportunity by the universe to approach, like this is the direction you're meant to go in. Follow that. And then right before, as you feel it coming up, it's going to be a little bit different than your normal routine. Say to yourself, I'm willing to consider there's a possibility this might be the better way. I'm willing to consider that I will try to be open as much as I can. I'm willing to be open. My intention is to be open, that this could bring about some fun, spontaneity, and magic in my life, and maybe even give me more than what it was before. I'm willing to believe that everything is going to work out, best case scenario, and I'm just going to kind of relinquish the reins a little bit and just go with it. Just be willing that the positive end is out there and it could happen to me. And just that small sort of like willing to sort of negotiate can do enough to change the situation. So if you start to see, oh, things aren't working out, that's sort of you telling yourself or the universe, the cycle going on, that you're not being open enough. And this is a small way of you working on being more open to doing things differently, because this is the direction you're clearly being pulled into. You cannot fight innovation, and you are one. You are an innovator. So now let's talk about these synchronicities. You'll notice how kind of that sense of, I would say when things don't work out, it feels like we don't have momentum. Compared to, I would say, unconventional ways of approaching things always have momentum. You're always going in some direction. You'll see where it goes next. So that sense of stagnation pops up again. So you'll notice these synchronicities pop over here. Again, this is more of a cycle enacted in front of you, and these are more synchronicities. So first, and when we're talking about synchronicities, we're talking about the idea that you say or think something, and then an example of it is presented in front of you right then and there in the universe. So on one hand, we have sort of cleaning of the house, my spirit guide describes it as. I asked, literally, are you cleaning your house in a physical sense or cleaning out your car or something? Pardon me. They said no. They said that this would be like journaling or unloading and telling a friend, hey, this has been building up, this situation's frustrating me, and it has been a building up. Maybe you have been expressing it, but this time that you're expressing it over the next 72 hours, it feels like it's gotten bigger and bigger in very much with wands being associated with energy in an energetic way. It feels bigger, and it might even, fun fact, our emotions derive from the energy we're picking up. So it's this feeling of this energy's gotten so big, so it's affecting you emotionally. Your emotions are reacting to the bigness of the energy that's been built around the situation and frustration. So again, you're journaling, you're letting a friend know what's up, you're just having a moment. I mean, this could even be you really deeply, like you're zoning out and you're waiting for the light to change when you're like walking somewhere. And you're just zoning out and you're really deeply contemplating and you're unloading and being honest in your head. I don't like that this is working out this way. This is super frustrating. And you're just letting out. The synchronicity that's being brought to is in both of these scenarios going on. Again, this is very similar to the sense of Six of Wands. Over here, we have this sense of stagnation, but stagnation in sort of, it's a feeling of, I don't want to say disorganized. The way my spirit guide describes it is disarray. So let's say you had wanted to go out and get out of the house for a second. Something's going to happen to put you in a position where you just can't leave the house, or that option is taken away from you and you're like, oh man, that was my whole plans for the night. So it's both a sense of lack of momentum popping up, but also simultaneously, once that option is taken away from you, it's that frustration of like, oh wow, I put all this was what I was going to be doing for the night. I don't really know what to do now. So it's not an epic feeling of disarray, just it is a little annoying and frustrating. I would say the greater frustration is over here with the Three of Pentacles in reverse. My spirit guide says that somebody is like going to kind of be up in your grill and kind of annoy you a little bit. A good example would be like, just someone you don't really like at work or whatever, and they just keep talking to you, and you're like, oh my goodness, leave me alone. Whatever it is, it seems that they mess with your sort of mojo. Now, with the Three of Pentacles, I did clarify with my spirit guide if this involves them messing with the way you function with someone else, and they said it's pretty big. So in some scenarios it could be maybe they're a little too involved with you in your current romantic relationship, and it's kind of frustrating for the two of you because you're just like, or maybe just you and they're kind of inappropriately trying to get involved with the other person. Maybe it's a friendship situation and they keep trying to invite themselves along with you and your other friend. But they did say, my spirit guide said, that it can be a scenario where the three is represented more like you and a project are getting interrupted, and again, stagnation, disarray, through the involvement of this other person's energy being brought to you. But the only reason why this is being brought to you and things are sort of hiccuping, again, this talks about just generally things not working out. This is more of like something doesn't work out, but there could be other options. This is more on full on like, that's it, that's the rest of the night, there's not another option, I guess I'm home for the night. These two energies are being brought to over here from the unloading. It's not that you expressed yourself, but there's a sense of guilt being pushed onto the expressing yourself. It's this feeling of like, you express yourself and you're not like, I expressed myself, cool, I'm better now. It's this feeling of like, I expressed myself, but that person's still annoying, or this situation's still annoying. Or I kind of feel like these two might be associated. Or you express yourself and then maybe you feel guilty for doing it. Or you didn't come to a conclusive situation. You're just like still kind of pent up. Either way, there's a sense of you're kind of like trying to create momentum. There's a good intention here, but the perspective at the end of it isn't a momentum building perspective. It still has a perspective on that wasn't the right thing to do. I don't know what to do next. That's just knowing. I wish they would just go away. It's this attitude that this belief, again, when we talk about the unconventional thinking, it's this belief that it can only be one way and that option's not there. So there's no possible way. When the unconventional type of thinking and approach a situation is that there's multiple ways situations can get solved. But I'm getting a little off track here because this is where it gets more interesting. And this is the big concept. This is the most important part of the concept I want you to understand. It's over here with the Knight of Cups. So my spirit guide says you're going to be seeing a lot of symbols, physical symbols, more so than hearing like talking, of signs of affection and love and openness. So a good example of this is you see like little symbols around you that say love, and there's hearts. Maybe you see two people holding hands. You see an act of someone being kind and offering somebody to pay for someone else's coffee. There's just, you notice it more. It's there. But here's where it gets really interesting. So over here is this symbol of openness. Lots of options, momentum, the whole concept around the idea of affection, love, more, connecting, things going smoothly. This is what you really want. But it always will feel, or it will feel in the next 72 hours, depending on if we change it. We're going to change the situation, remember. It'll feel like it's more in the background. Like this will be agitating you more because it's bringing your attention there. But in the background, you will catch like, oh, there's a little heart. Oh, I just saw a cute little interaction between a mother and their child, and maybe she's wiping their face or something, and you see this cute little moment. What's happening here is because this is being in the background, this is representing your subconscious desire, but you're not necessarily connected to it. And with this kind of taking more precedence, being thrown at you, being put in your life, the attitude we expressed at the end of the expressing yourself, this is saying to you're reflecting yourself, and the synchronicities that are being brought to you through these actions are, hey, this is at the conscious of your forefront. This is what you're giving the most attention to. So this is what's being brought into your life. So the way we can change this scenario is, again, an attitude change, but a reflection of, oh, this is how I'm concluding something. This is how it's perpetuating. It's giving me more examples of what frustration is. Oh, I can understand this in a different way, and I can put my attention somewhere else. So a good example of this would be, to change this scenario, is once you've expressed yourself, you've journaled something, you expressed to your friend, you've been given an opportunity to kind of be frustrated, maybe you can be like, yeah, that was really frustrating, but I'm going to let it out now. And I think instead of experiencing this, now that I've, let people know, let the other person know, whoever you're talking to, this is what I've expressed, I think I'd like to focus on what I do want, though. And the more you give attention to these little symbols you see, kind of let them take up more time and energy in your head and your emotions. You spend more time contemplating, and I don't mean like want, keep it like a desire, like almost like you're grabbing at it and it's from a distance. Just contemplate on the idea. Oh, that's nice. I like that. I'm open to the idea of me experiencing that. And you allow these other things to not even slightly bother you, fall away in the distance. You'll quickly notice the stagnation go away. The synchronicities of options not working out go away. This other person will suddenly become preoccupied, and you'll notice an easier connection, smoother experience, very similar to the idea of being able to easily express this sense of openness and vulnerability with either you and this other person, or not the other person bothering you, but like if there's two people and that other person bothers you, you and this other person are having a good time. If this is you and your project, this person's going to go away and you and the project are going to work out smoother. You get what I'm saying? So overall, this is a self-awareness of what gets built up, expressing it, but then understanding how to transition from it. Being aware what's in the background of my environment What's in the forefront, and where can I put my attention in order to bring that to the forefront and allow other things to slowly dissipate, not into your subconscious, but to dissipate overall in general. And we talked back, don't forget about the whole innovator thing. So I hope you're getting excited because all of this is easily changeable. You can change it right now in this second. When you see that opportunity present itself, you know how to handle it now, and you'll notice all of these other things smooth themselves out. And the next 72 hours will be filled much more with love and affection and fun, inventive ways. It's a lot of self-exploratory, like understanding yourself better and realizing like a new path and way you want to express yourself and being a little more confident, being like, this is who I really am. Mixed with, over here with the Knight of Cups of being like, wow, you know what? I'm ready and available for more openness, vulnerability, connection, things to be easier, things to be smoother, compatibility. That's what I want. You see what I'm saying here? So I hope you're looking forward to that. Please let me know in the comments below what you're particularly looking excited for. I'm so pumped for you. I'm so glad we could turn this more in your favor. I love that. And I hope you learned a little bit about yourself in the process. Also consider giving this video a like, a subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'm wishing you the best. I'll see you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 2. Group number 2. Let's find out what you're looking for in the next 72 hours by looking at the cards. Fun fact about this, my spirit guide that I'm working with, that I usually work with tarot, asked me to pull 6 cards. And the reason why this is so cool is 6 is associated with things like, it's specifically high vibrational, but it's like high vibrational thinking, high vibrational being, high vibrational situations. So definitely expect the next 72 hours to be very self-exploratory. And this is the biggest thing I love. When we are able to get into a high vibrational mindset, it makes approaching any situation exponentially easier to accept, understand, and the faster we understand and accept and identify whatever situation's in front of us, the smoother it is and the faster it is to either receive the good blessings or, this is interesting, to prevent or quickly get over if there's like sort of a hiccup in the road. It will go by quicker because the hiccup's only there in order to teach you a lesson, and you don't need to learn the lesson anymore if you've already received it. See what I'm saying here? So I'm pumped. Give me a second to look at all of these beautiful cards. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. Ooh, I love this. Oh, this is great. This is a fantastic concept to learn and understand. Oh, I love this. This is like thinking something's not working out and then learning it is, and everything's better than you even thought it could be. I love this. Okay, so first let's start with the moon card that my spirit guide says is the main sort of like theme and concept you want to focus on here. Well, I don't know if theme would be the word. I guess it's a theme. So, pardon me, with the moon card, you're going to want to kind of get in touch over the next 72 hours with the moon cycle going on. You're going to look it up, and I would highly recommend looking up whatever moon cycle it is, what its association is spiritually, because different time periods of the month would ask you to take on different focus on things that are similar to what's going on with the moon. So like, let's say there's a moon cycle that involves being restorative. Over the next 72 hours, that would be a good time period to treat yourself and do something and like have your own little spa day at home. Maybe there's a moon where it's all about kind of letting it out, letting it go, and that'd be a good time to journal and finally get off your shoulders whatever that has been weighing you down and finally say, I'm not okay with this, or I'm tired of dealing with this, either to a friend or yourself or journaling, like I said. So you're going to do correlating activities to whatever's going on. And the way you can find that out is you look up whatever moon cycle it is, and then type in that moon cycle and say spiritual meaning, and then you do things associated with it. There you go. I said that perfectly. Now here's where this is all going to kind of come together. So again, as usual, listen to the whole card reading so this makes sense. But we're going to actually talk about one meaning with the Devil card and then come back to it at the end. And so cool. You're going to love this. So in this particular case, somebody is going to be popping up that is going to be trying to distract you. Now, I want to be clear, distractions really being used loosely here. This is nothing severe and intense and toxic. Okay, sorry. I looked over at my speaker and they were like shaking their head no, and I was like, oh, am I wrong? And they were like, no. Like they were saying like, no, it's not a big deal. Like it's not a big thing. The sort of images they were showing me were situations where like someone comes up and just won't stop talking your ear off, and you're like, okay, go away, like, and you kind of get sucked into whatever drama they're trying to share with you, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, that was like 3 hours I could have been doing something that I wanted to do or work on something. This would be a good time to like be aware that it is not impolite to set a boundary and to realize your time is valuable, and it's more impolite of them to not respect your time. And this is a good time to just shut the door on them, cut them off mid-sentence, because they're not going to give you an opportunity and go, okay, that's nice, okay, bye. Just don't text them back, even if you feel like you need to or something like that. This would be a good time to just realize, ooh, I'm being sucked into a distraction that I don't need. So it will be easy to dissuade them, get away from them, but it's something to be aware of. But focus on this idea and this concept, because where it goes after we come back around is super interesting and extremely valuable to understand. So you don't want to get distracted because you want to focus on what's going on over here for the next 72 hours. So money is going to be coming your way. But here's where we can get very specific and see sort of a lesson learning that I love going on here. You're going to receive money in small increments or small opportunities. This would be like finding a quarter on the ground. Somebody's kind enough to be like, oh yeah, I'll pay for your coffee. Maybe someone at your work offers a little bit of overtime. You're going to want to say yes to all of these situations. But here's the important part. Every time you get a little, even if it's a single penny, whatever it is, when you interact with, and you're aware that whatever opportunity or situation is being put in front of you, you're going to be aware that technically you did receive more money. So when you interact with picking up that coin, when you say yes to that overtime, you're going to say to yourself, I'm so rich. Money and opportunities just always seem to come at me. And you're going to very quickly notice that you will keep finding more change. You'll keep, over the next 72 hours, it's just going to keep building and building and building. With these two are the associated two. This is because you are teaching your subconscious and then being given proof right in front of you, evidence, that the more you realize every single opportunity is a good opportunity, like you can create a bigger association with even the smallest piece of proof or evidence. You can take one thing and build it like a snowball effect and take it in a direction and realize your true inner power and how you can affect the world around you with a certain perspective, even if it's so tiny and little. One association and affirmation with a small gesture can build and build and build to a big job opportunity. Much more money coming your way. But often it can be hard for people to manifest just saying to themselves, I'm going to get that job. And then they say it over and over again. They say the affirmation. It just doesn't seem to pop up. They're like, what am I doing wrong? Sometimes, think of it like a stairway. Over here is where you'd like to get to. Well, not everyone can leap that far. Maybe you need to take one step at a time, but it's about understanding what are the in-between steps. How can you take them? And then again, realizing how each step you take as you identify the individual steps, as we talked about the pennies, the little bit of realizing there's an opportunity in experiences that you maybe didn't realize there was an opportunity kind of thing, the easier it is to then see the next staircase, the next one, and before you know it, it's just building and building and building, and you're higher up than you were before. You get what I'm saying here? So it's about getting away from this distraction, because this is only going to kind of frustrate you, and then you don't want to spend the evening feeling frustrated. You want to spend the evening being like, oh, I'm so rich. Isn't that cool? I talked about needing more money, then I did get more money. But don't put, and I'm going to be moving on. I hope this didn't come across as rambling, but don't lament if, like, let's say you really need extra money for like rent or something and you found a penny. Don't be like, yeah, well, I only found a penny. You have to be like, see, I got a penny. Who knows what will happen next? Money comes to me so easily. I'm going to get another penny. Everything. Just work with it. Start somewhere. Now, this is where it kind of all comes back around, and I love this. So when the Two of Pentacles in reverse, you're going to have a bit of small accidents. This would be like dropping a plate. I don't know, maybe you accidentally bump something and you have to rebend your bike tire back. You trip. These are very small errors. They wouldn't be big. Now, initially, you might feel frustrated, and sometimes, depending on the person, you can really get in your own head and be like, oh, why is this happening? And it can affect your mood for a longer period of time and build up. We talked about how build up can be a positive thing, and it can be a negative thing. But here is what's so beautiful about this. This is actually a sign that you are having these big self-aware moments. These often when cycles end or things happen that are like really positive growth the next stage, things can break, or it's sort of like a breaking of the end of the cycle kind of situation. So what appears, and this is where we're going to go back to this card, so what appears initially negative is in fact an extremely positive indicator, like a compass of the universe. Am I headed in the right direction? And this is where we go back to the Devil card of like, why is this person popping up? Well, normally this card is in tarot is associated with someone who's like really toxic. And it's pretty serious. It's someone you wouldn't want to be associated with, especially in a relationship of any kind. But in this case, with it being ruled by somebody who rules chaos, we're talking about the idea that not all things have to be necessarily good and bad. Not all things have to be linear. And often when we take away the emotional weight of something, it loses its intensity. So in this case, it's just someone distracting. You don't have to label it as bad, this big thing. It can just be like, oh, it's a little distracting, and I can even prevent that distraction and receiving that sort of drama in my life, and I'm just going to, cut off real quickly. Whatever, not a big deal. Interestingly enough, this also can be associated with the idea of like, just because we often describe in society the idea of like, you go here, you get this job, you do this thing, you do this thing, this thing, that isn't always the path for everyone. Sometimes it's like getting distracted, doing a career of this many years, and suddenly you're doing this, and you think you're going backwards and forwards. But in reality, by the time you get to a certain point, you realize all of these interactions and experiences added up to new skills and point of views that ended up benefiting you in the long run that you needed to experience, and that what initially from the outside seemed like a back and forth, moving forward, going backwards, was really still moving you forward all the way. Chaos or non-linear ways of moving forward is still moving forward, and that just might be the place you need to go through. You see what I'm saying here? So we talk about the idea of this just not holding as much weight. If you don't define this blanketly, just go good, bad, putting a scale on it, you're leaving an opportunity and an opening that maybe there's a positive meaning behind it. It doesn't always have to be what is in appearance at face value. So in this case, what initially seems like, so you have the one example here in this experience, you get the practice, the synchronicity or the lesson being thrown at you is that this could be labeled one way, but because you don't label it as that way, and you even tell the universe, I want to be focused, I want to focus on good things, you're taking away the intensity away from it, you're taking away its power and stuff like that, and then this then leaves up an opportunity when something quote unquote bad's happening, you're dropping plates, whatever is just like minor errors are happening, you're realizing and opening yourself up for being like, well, is there something actually wonderful going on here and I'm not even aware of it? And there is. And this is when we get our last confirmation, the Star card. Star card is associated with unexpected events. We have unexpected money coming your way, an unexpected visitor, a little life lesson going on here, but still unexpected. Unexpected situations happening, but all of these unexpected events are associated with not being always able to anticipate what's going to happen next, but trusting that you're going in the right direction. But this is more than trust. The Star card is associated with the idea and the confirmation that you are, in fact, beautifully moving towards your destiny. This is more than being like, oh yeah, you're doing great in life. You're doing really well in life that this card needed to pop up, or it's the most important thing you needed to hear right now. You're doing fantastic. You're very integrated with the things and the places and the person you want to be and the places you want to go and experience. You're on it. You're doing the right thing. Here's your symbols. Here's your focal point. Here's your exercises. Here's your lesson. It's going to be a fun 72 hours. So please let me know in the comments below. Do you do the whole penny trick and picking it up and saying good things to yourself? Are you clumsy, or will this be an unexpected experience? I'd love to know. Also, consider giving this video a like, a subscribe, hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I will see you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 3. Group number 3. Let's find out what to look for in the next 72 hours by looking at the cards. Now, I love this because my spirit guide, the one I predominantly work with for tarot readings, told me to pull 6 cards. And 6 cards, oh wow. Sorry, I'm just looking at the, oh, no wonder they wanted me to pull 6. Okay. 6 is a high vibrational number, and I'm not talking along with other numbers. 6 is the representation of high vibrational thinking, being, situations, you name it. 6 is an extremely wonderful number because not only does it feel good to be high vibrational, that's why a lot of people aim and try to do exercises around that idea to encompass it, but when you are high vibrational and approaching situations in that manner, it is so lovely. You accept things easier. Your feelings aren't hurt at all because you don't take things personally. You feel like you learn things and find joy in it rather than seeing it as punishment. It's so much easier to attract good things in your life with this perspective, no matter the situation. It is beautiful. I love it. And that's essentially what's going on over here. Now, let me just look at this a little more, but give me just 1 second. Just give me a moment to look at everything. Okay. I can see these two are related. Got it. What a beautiful conclusion. Okay, so we're going to talk about some things, and they might not initially be fun to think about, but things can be changed, and we want to understand whatever we're feeling, we reflect back to us in the universe because we're trying to put it in front of our own faces in order to realize, oh, this is happening, and then let it go, which is so cool. So all of this we're going to be discussing can be easily switched and changed, but we are understanding why it could potentially happen in the first place. So stick around because it has a really happy ending and there's a lot of compliments what we've woven in between. So let's first start with a bit of the rougher information with what's going on over here. By the way, this girl is so cute. Let's just look at her upright. How cute is she? I love her little outfit. Anyway, this shows that over the next 72 hours, it appears, unfortunately, there's a bit of an invisibility thing going on. It feels like people are walking away. It feels like people aren't really standing up for you. It's just this sensation of no one's on your team kind of thing. It's a bit of a lonely feeling. It's not the funnest interactions. Let me just ask real quickly. Is this like personal people, personal friends? Okay, good. Good news at the minimum. It is not associated with people that are very close to you. Oh, I'm just listening to all the information. It might be a very small percentage of you might have an interaction like this with someone close to you, but the vast majority of you, like we're talking like 90%, 95%. Oh, I'm hearing like 98% of you. It's more of a acquaintances. You're kind of chatting to someone you kind of know. It wouldn't be like a big deal type of scenario. So it still would not be something you want to experience, but at least it's not like your BFF. You know what I mean? But the main reason why this is happening is due to the inner monologue going on in the head with the Page of Swords in reverse. This is a lot of uncomplimentary perspective. It's very verbal. It's very like in your head. It's less than just feeling. It's like telling yourself regularly that you're not good enough, that you're not pretty enough, that your opinion's not worth hearing. Now, it might be described in different ways. It might not be that direct and easy to understand, but do you ever say to yourself, oh, I'm sorry too much? Do you say a lot of I don't knows? Is it a lot of like, oh, I'm not sure. Oh, I don't think I'm ready yet. Is there some way that you're implying you're not good enough as is, so therefore your opinion and whatever you have to share isn't just? Whatever it is, this is the energy that is being perpetuated out there, and this is the main reason why people are sort of on a subconscious level with the energy being put out there, walking away, pushing away, because you're basically saying, yeah, don't listen to me. So they're not listening. Now, like I said, this can change. This can be simply waking up in the morning, first thing you do. You don't have to necessarily remember this. The good thing, this is a sword, not a cup. So this is all verbal. You might feel it emotionally, but if you express it verbally and you can change it into something you'd rather experience and put out into the world, even if you don't exactly emotionally connect to it, it will still have better effects than if you didn't. So don't worry if you wake up in the morning, write a little sweet thing to yourself saying like 5 nice things you like about yourself, or try to change the inner dialogue in your head as you're expressing yourself through the day, and change your inner monologue to more like, you catch yourself saying like, oh, this dress looks ugly on me. You stop yourself and go, no, you know what? No, maybe it's cute. I'm going to say it's cute. It's cute. I like it. I'm working with something. It's nice. Just start with something. You don't have to exactly emotionally be connected to the idea. Just start changing the monologue inside your head, and you won't experience these sort of small but upsetting interactions. Upsetting because it's so rude when people walk. Has that ever happened to you? I do not know why some people think it's okay to just walk away from someone as they're speaking. You know what I mean? You don't deserve that, and you won't get that. Just change the inner monologue in your head. Realize what you're putting out there and what is being reflected back at you. Not as punishment, I want to be clear, not as punishment, but to help you see what you are doing to yourself. It's kind of like bringing the inside world inside your head outside. You get what I'm saying here? So now that we have that situation changed and viewed, we can see where it's still getting incorporated over here. So over here in the Ten of Swords, the way my spirit guide describes it is not the traditional Ten of Swords way. It's more with the imagery. As you can see, the sun is sort of peeking out, but there's still a little bit of a barrier going up. So in this scenario, the way my spirit guide describes it is you have done, and especially with the Nine of Wands as confirmation, you have done a lot more work than you're giving yourself credit for. You've really come a long way. It is more possible for you than it was another time in your life to see that there could be a happy ending, that something could work out for you, that is a possibility you'll get that promotion, or you could be with that person, or you could have that life. It feels like the possibility of what you would like to happen or positive thoughts are not too far on the horizon. You even see them. You even contemplate interacting with them on a more regular basis. And we're talking about not just playing with the idea, but full on making the decision of being like, you know what? There's no other way. I want to feel better about this situation. I want to experience this situation better. Everything. You get what I'm saying? It's there, but there is still a wall being put up. Again, with swords, we're talking about words, logic, verbal ways you're expressing these concepts that you say, I don't know if I'm ready yet. I'm hesitant. You know what I mean? You're believing your own lies you're telling yourself. And this sort of wall that's being presented, that you're putting up in your way and this is sort of an abstract idea to express, so I'm just do the best I can to give you examples. But when we have a Nine of Wands, Nine of Wands in reverse situation, this is when somebody they're almost there at the end of the journey. It has been a lot for them to get there. It gives us a bit of a rough background type of scenario going on here. But when it's in reverse, it implies they're almost there, but they think that they have to still be so involved. They have to control the situation to make it happen. When in reality, all you have to do is sit back, let yourself walk across the finish line, or let the finish line meet you, rather. You don't need to keep contemplating in your head, okay, if we're using the analogy of like running a marathon, you don't, in that moment when you're 100 yards away from getting to the finish line, you don't need to contemplate, do I need to buy new runner shoes? Maybe I should stretch right now. You just finish doing what you've already been doing. You're good. You're almost there. So what's happening here is a wall is being presented metaphorically by believing that there needs to be control on your end to make the next step happen. So if there's an opportunity presented, instead of believing like, oh yeah, so there's an opportunity for a job, I'll just apply, I'll relax, I'll lay back, whatever, I'll send in my resume, see what happens. I've worked this hard, I have this many skills, maybe I'll get it. Instead, it would be the scenario of being like, okay, well, I don't know if I'll get it, so I'm gonna write the resume. I'm gonna get checked by 15 people. I'm going to make sure I show up super early. I'm gonna buy a new suit. I'm gonna keep working, and it doesn't come from a place of just being prepared. From the mentality that's going on right now, it would be the idea that you have to control it. These things have to happen. You have to make them happen in order to get to the next stage. But it is just an excuse, a form of a wall between you and simply letting what is already pretty close to the surface of happening and occurring in accepting it. Do you see what I'm saying here? Now, just being aware of any time you feel like you're getting an opportunity and you're like, no, we have to take this path. We have to take this route. If someone starts driving a different way, this would be a good time to relax and being told by the universe, you gotta let go. You gotta let go and be open and honest and accept maybe it could all work out. Let go. Let go of the need to think that you need to be the missing factor to the end of the scenario. Now, these concepts get reflected on what's going on over here in the Six of Cups. This is where your sort of synchronicity comes in. We're talking about where you're at, some possibilities. We did get specific over here, but we're going to get more specific. Somebody from your past is going to be popping up, and they are going to be associated with a time in your life that when they pop up, it's going to be a happy pop-up. It's not going to be a negative experience. This could be like an old friend you knew many years ago. Maybe you go out to lunch because you ran into each other, or you just have a conversation real quick in the store, real fast. Whatever it may be, it's a positive interaction. But this would be a time after the interaction to contemplate, who were you then? What was happening then? Because you're taking on old habits and perspectives of that time period. Were you a little more guarded? Maybe they were your only friend and you weren't willing to accept that other people could be willing of your or capable of fully accepting you. Think about what was going on in your head at the time, because they're popping up to be a super in your face synchronicity of being like, hey, you're experiencing and feeling this way. Here is someone that matched that energy so long ago. This is what you're putting out to the world. This is what you're experiencing. And again, it's not a negative thing. You might have loved this friend and had a good time. It's just being aware that certain attributes are getting reflected in ways that don't allow you to progress. You're meant to be a different person you weren't back then. Again, not a criticism, just more being aware of like asking yourself those bigger questions of like, were you more closed off back then? Were you a little more in your head? Are you being in your head again like we talked about over here? A lot of this is associated with the mind. Either way, it will be a nice, happy interaction. Enjoy the interaction. You don't have to avoid it. But just understand it is a synchronicity that it's showing you what's in front of your face and what's happening. And now here's the final part. And I feel that this is less of a synchronicity or a sign from the universe, but a discussional point to have acceptance with what's going on over here. This is not being read in the traditional way that Five of Swords is. It's more of like a positive scenario. Five of Swords would be someone who is being competitive and making selfish decisions, maybe even putting down others in the process to get ahead. And it would be considered a negative thing. It would be a verbal thing most of the time, like a fight with someone. But in this case with my spirit guide, they said, you have to forgive yourself. You had to make certain decisions to get ahead. And sometimes people got left behind or were hurt in the process. But you didn't do it intentionally to hurt people. You did it to survive. You did it to get to the next stage. You were not cruel. You were not mean. You were not a bad person. Sometimes progression and moving forward isn't always clean and kind. And you have to forgive yourself. You have to stop being your own interrogator and punisher. You have to stop. Because you need to come from a place or consider coming from a place where there wasn't any other way and you did make the right decision. And sometimes, and this is just another thing to contemplate, sometimes people can put you in a position where you had to make a choice. And is it so much about you and the choices you made towards other people? Or is it about the selfish desires of others not considering to give you another path and putting you up against a wall? You know what I mean? Like, are you such a bad person for saying, no, I deserve more options, more freedom. Why are you putting me up against this wall? You see what I'm saying here? So this is an understanding of everything going on. But the biggest thing I want you to get here is that you are worthy of love and compliments and being heard. You can change that in a second. We talked about that. You are much closer to the position in life you probably would enjoy more, a more positive outlook, good things coming your way, being more open and ready to receive them and accept them and enjoy them more readily. You're right there. But there are ways that you're putting up walls right now that we talked about that you can easily, do the best you can to get in that headspace and relinquish control and allow yourself. It's easy in concept, but I totally get it if in the moment you're gripping on and you're doing the best you can to let go. Do the best you can to let go. And above anything, your mantra should be, I made the right decision. I deserve to enjoy the results of my decision. I'm not a bad person just because certain things went down. Not all things look, a certain way, kind and clean and easy, and everyone's on the same terms. It's not your fault. You did what you had to do, and you made the right decision. So, please let me know in the comments below, what is a kind thing you're going to start the next 72 hours off saying as a mantra to yourself to pep yourself up and give yourself more credit where credit's deserved. I'd love to hear it in the description below. Consider also giving the video a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I will see you in the next one. And let's get ready for our final group. Group number 4. Group number 4. Let's find out what to look for in the next 72 hours by looking at the cards. And speaking of the cards, I am happy to say that my spirit guide, the one I usually work with when I do tarot, told me to pick 6 cards. And the cool thing about number 6 is that it is a high vibrational number. And this does not mean that it's a high vibrational number and there's other high vibrational numbers. It specifically talks about high vibrational thinking and situations and a way of being. It's a beautiful thing. The reason why people want to be high vibrational is because when you are connected to that state of mind and those actions, it just makes everything easier. You can take things personally. It's easier to make connections. It's easier to learn lessons faster. Everything is smoother, streamlined, and it's like evolving on a whole faster time frame. And it's just a much more comfortable, and here's the exciting thing, enlightening, exciting process, which means compared to being like, when someone realizes, I need to say no to this type of person that keeps coming in my life. They keep popping up because I need to say no to them. They don't make me happy. I need to finally put up a wall. Instead of that just being like, okay, it's like, oh my God, wow. wow, you're right. Oh, wow. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, gonna say no now. It's like a very exciting way to being. So let's bring that energy to what's going on down here. So let me just look at the cards real quickly. Oh, you are just my cup of tea. Oh, I love this. Okay, this is so cool. So there are two different avenues that we have going on. We have this going on as an avenue, and we have this going on as an avenue. The Empress card in reverse is our branching off point and our focal point, and why this is all happening in the motivation is happening in the Judgment card in reverse, and it's very important to pay attention here. So, with the Hermit card in reverse and being paired with this type of 10 of Pentacles in reverse, we have, basically I'm talking to someone who's incredibly intelligent, especially when it comes to being able to pay attention to the world around them and consider looking into it regularly. You are definitely someone who's like, ooh, synchronicity. Oh, did you just see that? Oh, wow. I wonder what that means. And I saw an animal. I'm going to look into what that animal means. Something's got to mean something. You're very ready and willing to look into things deeper. And with the card being in reverse, it implies you've gained enough knowledge that now you're being tested to put it in action. This is an important thing, but before we get into the two possibilities, let's talk about where it's stemming from in the Empress card in reverse. When the Empress card is in reverse, this is talking about the idea. Now, when it's upright, the Empress is super abundant. She doesn't have to lift a finger for a whole garden of flowers to grow. She is abundant by default, effortlessly. But it's in reverse. She's missing something. There's sort of a hole in her life, and she's acutely aware of that, and she'd like to go back to being in this state, whole, able, confident, really secure in who she is, and who she is someone who doesn't have to prove herself. By default, she's like her own main character of her story in that way. She's definitely the coolest one at school, coolest person in school. Anyway, there is an awareness that something's missing in your life. Some missing part of understanding yourself, how you interact with it. And this is not a criticism or at all a negative thing. In fact, my spirit guide described it as a beautiful thing that you are okay with and self-aware enough to identify it and go, I'd like to fulfill it. Now, you are going to be fulfilling it through following two different paths. One involves being aware of what the world is communicating to you, and if you're down with spirit guides, your spirit guides are communicating to you. Your subconscious is projecting ideas out to the universe, and the universe is giving them back to you. That's the whole idea of like we're the universe expressing ourselves through symbols, synchronicities, that kind of thing. Or lamenting on it and watching those synchronicities be a repeating idea, more of not learning and then fulfilling it and like turning this into an upright Empress, but sort of adding on it and confirming how unfair something is. So let's talk about the negative and then the positive, because I think that's, we can end on more of a positive note. So if we only view the perspective of being like, yeah, something's missing. Oh, I feel so empty. Oh, I just don't know who I am. Oh, this is when we get this grief sort of perspective. That's the big thing with the Five of Cups in upright. If you notice, it can be described with the idea of spilt milk, crying over spilt milk. Over here, we have one option, beautifully leading into the next. I want to point out for tarot card readers when we think about how cards can run into each other's meanings that way. On one hand, we have the potential that, well, this Empress card could change. There are some cups standing up. You do still have some water in those cups left. But then over here, they're spilt. And there's very much a focus on, oh, they fell. They fell. Look at this. I am without. what I could have been, who I used to be, holding on to it, focusing on it. And that is where the attention it could be drawn, possibly. But look, there's a river right there. You could fill up more cups. You could start with something. Something is better than nothing. And you can start out small and build something big, which is very much the avenue we have going on over here. But if the perspective and the inner monologue in your head is this is then when we get the Justice card in reverse. This is when things just don't work out in equivalency to the effort and actions you put in. It's like really going out of your way to, like, maybe somebody asks you to, like, fix up their yard or something, mow the lawn, and you even go the extra mile, pull a couple weeds, you do a bunch of nice things, and instead of them noticing that and paying you even an additional chunk of money or doing an extra nice thing, maybe making you some lunch or something like that, instead, what they do is underpay you and even kind of be rude and close the door on you. You're like, that's not fair. Maybe you just go out of your way to be kind, or I don't want to give actions of kindness. Like maybe you go out of your way and you're making lunch with your friend or whatever, or your loved one, and it's a normal thing. You both make lunch and you're the one that spills your food. And you're like, that's not fair. Why do I spill my food? I have nothing left now. Why is this happening to me? It becomes why me? And then that's what keeps getting perpetuated. It is not a coincidence. You are putting out into the world and it is getting reflected back to you. This is how you feel, so it is getting shown in the actions and experiences around you. It's not about then continuously blaming yourself, but going, whoop, here's my sign. I need to change my attitude. Now, this is where the attitude can change. Over here in the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, we're not actually viewing it in the traditional way. So I'm going to actually turn this in upright to make it so it's a pretty image so you can see it. So the only reason why it's in reverse is this idea of bringing a concept from an outside perspective and bringing it inward, looking at an obscure concept and then looking at the details. So it's kind of like a reverse idea. I'll explain that in 1 second, but just for visual sake, we're going to turn it upright. So we can get really specific and talk about the idea of colors, and this being sort of your breadcrumb trail. You're going to be using it with the knowledge you have. You're ready to use it. I did double check if this involved anything. Usually the Hermit card in reverse is associated with the idea of being really isolated and then going out into the world and like being more social. It doesn't necessarily refer to that at all. Instead, what we're focusing on is the knowledge you've gained. You're ready to exercise that knowledge. So with the this card, we're focusing on the idea of, think about, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but sometimes artists use this example where in order to say these are the different palettes, like color palette they're using in their picture, they'll give an example. They'll like show the image and then they'll show like a snippet of each like pink or yellow or blue they use, and they'll line it up and show it to say like, hey, this is the color palette I used. You can use this. This is the picture I got if you want to use it as an example. It's just like a thing between various artists and stuff like that, or if it's just an aesthetic thing. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to start to notice a repetitive, maybe blue, purple. I'm just giving examples. It could be anything, but you're going to notice a color stand out to you, and you're going to be like, ooh, pink, yellows, but it's this one thing that's repeating over and over again. This is a broader idea that's connecting a bunch of separate stuff, but you're going to spiritually look into, what does that mean? Maybe you see a blue jay, and then you see a yoga mat. That's that particular stunning shade of blue. Then maybe even a lipstick. I mean, there's a lot of different beautiful palettes that go in makeup. Maybe you then go on Instagram and see somebody do a particular makeup shade look in that color. Maybe you see a beautiful sky, and you're going to look into like, what are the meanings or ideas behind it? And you can either straight up look it up, like Google it, like, what is the spiritual meaning behind blue jays? But you could also exercise that idea. Like maybe blue jays are very free and often are very striking and rare. So there's a rarity behind. I don't think they're a rare bird. I'm just coming up with examples. Like maybe they're very rare in your area. Maybe they always seem to pop up when you have a very meditative moment. So it's this idea of being really meditative and in the moment and kind of calming your thoughts. And you could definitely say that about the meditative quality of yoga. And maybe there's an expansion mindset you'll get, and from the sky's very expansive, and you realize, oh wow, maybe if I practice this mindset, I could learn to expand the inner part of myself. And that's the thing that's like the breadcrumb trail of giving you the clues you need to then act upon, to then slowly build yourself into being fulfilled, as we spoke about. Now, the cool thing is, with the judgment card being here, is all of this happening to you. These moments popping up, these synchronicities popping up in this specific kind of way, is it's sort of like a test being given to you by the universe in order to say, okay, you're self-aware enough, you're smart enough, you've done enough to notice something about yourself. You're ready to evolve and be your own evolver, your own student and teacher. Are you going to step up to the plate despite maybe the odds and move forward and understand how to move forward because you're ready to do that? Or are you going to give in to stagnation and a perspective that doesn't necessarily comfort you or make you feel better or help at all? It's about being given this test, and are you going to take it or not take it? Because normally, if we ignore parts of ourselves or things we need to evolve, you don't necessarily keep getting repeating cycles right away. Maybe that's not that lesson you need to learn right now. So it's not always thrown into our face continuously. So there's not always sort of a repercussion. I don't want to view it that way, but a sign from the universe that you did the wrong thing. That doesn't always pop up because that's not always a precedence. You're getting an immediate sort of result for the choices you make over these next 72 hours through unfairness, through frustration, or through answers and epiphanies. And you can take it and get a result because you're being given a test. So that's why you're getting the result. You're getting an answer for the choices you make, which is beautiful. So this is basically letting you know, if you feel certain things popping up and you're following a certain road, you might want to catch yourself and be like, maybe I could practice this instead. So definitely look out for those repeating synchronicities we just talked about. I'm really excited to hear about and see all your epiphanies that you pop up. Have you already started to notice something right away? You should start kind of get the ball rolling and investigate. I'd love to know in the comments below how you go about spiritually breaking things down in metaphors. It's always cool to see everybody's tactic and way of approaching it. Also, consider giving this video a like, a subscribe, hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Goodbye.